Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of 2 Point Conversion. We took the week off last week. Nico was on a beautiful golf trip in Arizona, and it was Halloween. So
a sunny vacation for Halloween.
we call it the bye week. A little Monday rest for us. But we're back in business this week. We had a great slate of NFL games yesterday, and guess what, Nico? We are halfway through the season, dude. I feel like we blinked, and we're already 9 games done, halfway through the 18-game season. This NFL season's been exciting. A lot of surprises, a lot of shockers, a lot of underdog teams that people were counting out. So today we'll take you through our favorite games of the week. We have a little shorter fantasy segment for you because we added a new segment this week. We're going to do the midseason awards. We came up with a bunch of awards. Some are like real voted on by writer awards, and some of them we added on our own for fun. We can't wait to see what you guys have to say in the comments about those because I think some of them are some hot takes, right, Nico? I think some of them we were already debating about when I saw you put them in the Google Doc.
I mean, you know me. I can't just go like fully into like just a normal like thought process. I just got to go out there and just throw like a curveball at you and just see what happens.
See what happens. That's part of like what I'm coming to realize about doing this whole radio thing. Sometimes your takes are just going to be awful, but then sometimes they really pan out and you look like a sports genius.
Listen, they're not awful. They're slowly calculated within this mastermind brain of mine. I think that being the sports Mongol that I am, yes. I do know what I'm talking about. Hey, I hate to break it to you, but I am the smarter one here.
Whatever you say, bud. Whatever you say. Why don't you kick us off with your favorite game of the week, and then we'll break it down.
All right. So obviously, if you've been watching for a couple of weeks, you'll get the trend that I've always picked the Giants because that's just what my favorite game of the week is.
And it's been awesome.
And it's been amazing. Awesome. So, but we're going to, since the bye week came around, I got my favorite game. It's going to be Bucks Rams. Not for the reason that it was exciting, but for the reason that it was not at all.
Very dull game.
No,
yeah, it was
at
a very
all.
Dull game.
And it's just like, it's kind of disappointing because you have the Super Bowl, the reigning Super Bowl champs coming against like Tom Brady, who obviously is
the past 2 Super Bowl winners in this matchup.
Yeah, past 2 Super Bowl winners. And it was lackluster, obviously, everything going on with Tom Brady and, how dull his play has been, how, he's been all over the place yelling at teammates. There's a division in the locker room that everyone notices. And between, the Rams, who like really don't look like they have anything going. They have no receiving core. They have Cooper Kupp, one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best.
Outside of Cooper Kupp, though, that team looks
it's dry. It's dry. And
I'll not look like a reigning Super Bowl champion.
So obviously, the Bucks win 16-13. Stafford was 13 for 27 with 165 yards and a touchdown.
Only 13 completions.
13 completions. And this next stat will blow your mind. He had 165 yards and 1 touchdown. Cooper Kupp received 127 of those yards and received the touchdown.
Wow.
He was 85% of his entire completions.
And there was a lot of hype about this offense coming in. Allen Robinson, Cam Akers, Sony Michel, and it's just been very dull.
I mean, they rushed the ball 68 yards as a team.
Wow.
So let alone the split between whoever they have in the backfield, doesn't matter, but 68 yards as a whole team. Their offensive is dry, their defense holds up, but not for long. And you'll hear at the end of the game what happens. But on the Bucs side, Brady was 36 for 58, 280 yards and a touchdown. And I do want to give credit to him at this point. He has had a bad season, but those yards led him to his 100,000th throwing yard.
Wow,
which is kind of incredible. It's the second quarterback since 1970. The other one was Peyton Manning to reach that milestone. It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
And I remember reading or seeing a stat where during the game they were kind of comparing him to some of the new talent like Mahomes, Herbert, and I think Justin Fields or was it Jalen Hurts? One of them.
Okay.
They said that on the pace that all those quarterbacks are going with the new 17-week season, 18-week season with the 17 games, they would all be around his age. I think it was 43 or 44, which he's 45, 46. But that's with the extra game a year. So he's done that without.
No, he was the picture of consistency in New England for 20 years almost. The guy is insane. I think we could all agree he's the GOAT of the NFL, and we're lucky to have seen him play. This year, though, I mean, my parents who aren't the biggest football fans, they've been watching a little more since I've been doing the show. They like to watch and like tune in and understand what's going on. And they kind of said to me yesterday, "You think he came back just one too many times? Was maybe?"
Well, that's the main thing. Like, it's obviously it's caused some problems in his personal life, and he came back and it was a mistake. He came back and it just wasn't. It's not there anymore. I think.
Do you think he misses? You think him and the team miss Gronk around a lot? Because maybe
100%.
Gronk. I'm thinking you brought up the sideline incident where he kind of lost his cool, and yelled at the teammates, and like a slept on thing or something you don't see on the game stat on the on the stat line. Maybe Gronk balances out that level of seriousness and that like uber competitiveness. Gronk, I mean, great athlete, great competitor, but he always light attitude,
he's
goofy
a goofy
attitude.
guy,
Maybe he like balanced that out, and that's something you don't see in the stat line. But having Gronk around, like, okay, Tom, cool it, take a breath. We've been here before. That was his longest tenured teammate. The most touchdowns he's ever thrown to a receiver was Gronk. Maybe not having Gronk around kind of throwing him off his game, throwing the chemistry off. Another thing, Bruce Arians was the head coach for the past 2 years in Tampa Bay, was the coach of that Super Bowl winning team. He's gone now. He's in like an advisory role.
Well, yeah, they switched. I think
Todd Bowles now is
Todd
just,
Bowles. But
how is he that quickly lost a grip on what was a great roster?
Again,
uber talented,
Todd
winning
Bowles
13 games.
Yeah, Todd Bowles was a great coordinator, and I don't think it's his fault at all for what he's for what he is as the head coach.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a Brady problem because obviously these weapons are here. Even with bad coaching, you have a Godwin, you have a Mike Evans, you have a Leonard Fournette.
Exactly.
You have these, and do they still have Cole Beasley, or did he retire?
Cole Beasley retired.
Yeah, he came back for 2 games and then retired. Like, he has these, parts where he could use, but it's just not there. It's something obviously is going wrong. His throws are short, his throws are delayed, his decision making is delayed. Age has caught up to him, and that's the problem. But I'll get along to the fourth quarter and what happens, and it kind of just disappears, which is such a Brady thing to do. So entering the fourth quarter, the game was 13-6. Obviously, Rams were winning. It was a low scoring game, but they were still up because the Bucs were playing so bad. Rushing offenses were basically non-existent. The Bucs had 51 rushing across the entire team, and the Rams had 68. So, I mean, the Rams are winning the game. 44 seconds left on the clock. They punt the ball back to the Buccaneers. I don't know why I had a brain fart, but the Rams punt the ball back to the Buccaneers with 44 seconds left.
I was watching. Yeah,
I think at the beginning of the fourth quarter they scored a field goal. So, with 44 seconds, obviously your defense is going to play back. You have one of the best defensive lines in the league, and you also have fantastic quarterbacks, one of the best corners in the league in Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is there was no urgency. They're playing back, which is a good call because they have 80 yards to drive the field.
And Tom Brady's thrown it 50 times at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously going to throw the ball. There's no doubt about it. There's 40 seconds left. They're playing so far back, but they're not sitting and pressuring. They're just sitting back. I mean, I saw Jalen Ramsey. It's great.
Like a 10-yard, 15-yard cushion.
Play calling where you had Mike Evans or whoever was out there come out on the field, and it's a 15-yard curl route. That's it. Catch out of bounds, catch down, quick spike. Like, it's great play calling and great execution by Tom Brady. That's been missing this entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Rams are banking on something to be dull like they have been. But you can't give them 20 yards of leeway and have them just curl route all the way down the field. I mean, they did a couple curl routes, and they got hit in the middle of the field, and there was a spike. I think there was 4 plays above 15 yards, just back to back to back. And even in the end zone, Mike Evans drew a pass interference in the end zone, which brought it to the 1, and then a tight end. I think his name is
Cade Otton.
Yeah, Cade Otton scores.
Rookie,
9 seconds left. It was just a quick turnaround, like a delayed block turnaround, and he was right in the end zone, just like a classic Gronk play.
Yep.
That Brady loves, and they end up winning the game.
It's a big win for the Buccaneers. I'm looking at the standings here. The NFC South is wide open. Buccaneers are tied with the Falcons, 4-5. I mean, not great, but they're still in it. We'll see what happens with the Saints tonight. They could also go to 4-5 with a win. And there'd be 3 teams tied at 4-5.
Yeah, I
Being
mean,
crazy.
the NFC South is just completely
It's
like,
wide open.
yeah,
It's
wide
wide open.
open, and
So don't count Brady out, but his play this year, I mean, both teams, Buccaneers and the Rams, have been very underwhelming.
I just think
It's hard to put your finger on one thing that's going wrong. You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
talking about Gronk and the coaching. It's hard to put your finger on one thing that's going wrong, but maybe this is the win they need to turn it around and be like, let's get
I'm
going.
asking you, I want to know genuinely, like, if you think this team can absolutely win the division, but is there anything after that? Do you think there's anything going
As
on
of right
after
now, I
that?
don't see it. No,
Yeah,
I don't
neither
see
do
it.
I.
And
I
the
mean,
thing is that you win the division, you get a home playoff game, but it's just like you go into that game with a good game plan, rest your like, you know what I mean? Like rest your starters the week before, whatever you got to do. As that it gets that time of year, you see teams strategize and do that. But as of right now, I don't see anything past a divisional game
yeah, I mean,
for this
neither.
or wild card
That's why I want to put in my
round.
favorite game, just because it's two of these great, like, past and like recently, like last year,
Yeah.
the year before, juggernaut teams that were both Super Bowl contenders and both won the Super Bowl. They're meek.
Yeah, good way to put it. That's a good way to put it, Nico. A good breakdown. I like a lot of the points that you touched on. I'm gonna go through mine pretty quick because I'm excited for the next segments we have coming up. See the comments coming in. My favorite game was the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets in the Meadowlands. The Jets won 20-17, a game that they were being counted out of after they got blown out by the Patriots last week. Everyone said, nope, the Jets are not winning this game. There is nothing they could do. And I was on that boat, Nico. I was in that boat. The Bills are unstoppable. They look superhuman. Josh Allen is the MVP. And the Jets showed up and showed some defensive schemes that Josh Allen and the Bills were not ready for. Maybe they got a little careless this week in preparation and were like, oh, it's the Jets. But the Jets showed up. I mean, nothing crazy in terms of stat lines, 20-17 game, but they pulled out an excellent game plan. They executed on defense. Sauce Gardner with a pick, probably just pushed himself, easily favorite for defensive rookie of the year. But I'll get into some stats for you. Zach Wilson went 18 of 25, 154 yards, 1 touchdown to the newly acquired James Robinson. No interceptions from Zach Wilson, which is huge. Michael Carter led the way in rushing. He had 12 carries for 76 yards and a rushing touchdown. And Garrett Wilson, the rookie wide receiver, led in receiving yards. He had 8 catches for 92 yards. So the young guys showing out for the Jets. On the Bills side, Josh Allen went 18 of 34 for 205 yards. No passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Very unlike Josh Allen to see 2 interceptions. He also led the Buffalo Bills in rushing. He had 9 carries for 86 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. So he's still a unit. He put the team on his back. 2 interceptions is unlike Josh Allen. Very uncharacteristic. Stephon Diggs led the way in receiving, 5 for 93. Stephon Diggs to hold him to only 5 catches, though. I know he went for 93, but that is huge for the Jets defense. They sacked Josh Allen 5 times.
See, I can agree with everything, and I have a hard time believing in this Jets offense, if I'm being completely honest with you. But the
defense was the superstar.
The only thing that I can say is, wow, it really shocks me, and which is really impressive to see. Their defense is elite.
It's hard to sack Josh Allen. They got him 5 times. Quinnen Williams.
And Sauce Gardner is completely Stephon Diggs is the best receiver in the league at this point, and he locked him down.
We were talking about this before, like Sauce Gardner trying to do a deeper dive into the stats. He's leading the league in passes defended.
Yeah.
So like getting a hand on it, a tip ball, whatever. As a rookie, they're matching you up with Stephon Diggs, like these number 1 superstar wide receivers. And Sauce Gardner's fearless, absolutely fearless.
No, yeah, it's really impressive, and maybe it's just like I'm definitely not going to say that it's just like a rookie year, like that he's just
he plays in a great system. I mean, Robert Saleh is known for his
great
defense.
Great defensive system, and
But
that's where I have a problem on the other side of the ball.
Even the best defensive system against the Bills, we've seen like in years past, the Bills still go out and drop 45 on you. You let Josh Allen get hot. I was expecting this to be one of those games we were talking about a couple weeks ago when he threw that 90-yard bomb to Gabe Davis. You let Josh Allen get hot, and it almost looks like the game moves in slow motion for him.
I mean, if we're going to talk about deep balls, I don't want to cut ahead, but that play at the end of the game, that's a pass interference, and that should have been called on the Jets defense.
The Sauce play?
On the last play of the game, it was a defensive pass interference, and they didn't call it. He was holding him up.
I don't know about that.
He was, John, he was held up more than I've ever seen.
Everyone listening, you could go look at the clip yourself.
You can
thought it was clean.
Comment and let me know. Like,
I thought it was clean. He didn't get his head all the way around, but he wasn't holding.
He had his right arm
He wasn't
completely.
holding.
He had his right arm completely locked down.
But
I mean,
dude,
listen,
there's a lot
there's
of
no
hand
doubt
fighting that
that
goes on.
there's no doubt that I can give the Jets all the credit in the world. They against a great offense. The Super Bowl contenders. They really dropped them down, locked up Stephon Diggs, rushed
It
the
was a hard
quarterback
fought
good.
game. I have some more like deeper stats too for you.
Yeah, let me hear.
But even just like we kind of skipped over this, to sack Josh Allen 5 times, even if you get to Josh Allen, he's 6'5". He's a unit. He's fast. He's agile. It is very hard to tackle that guy. So kudos to the Jets defense getting him 5 times.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
but it was
agree.
a close game. If you go
effort.
to like the stats section on Google, you just type in score and go to stats. Very like evenly matched across the board. Jets had 2 more first downs than the Bills. Only 3 penalties for each team combined. It was 30 yards for the Jets, 30 yards for the Bills in penalties. So they weren't making mistakes. They weren't giving this game away. It wasn't like the Bills blew it like that. You know what I mean? They were disciplined. It reminded me of some playoff football. Bills were better on 3rd down, but they did let the Jets convert 2 for 2 on 4th down tries. And the Bills are now 6-2. Jets and Dolphins are 6-3. Patriots are 5-4. The AFC East is wide open.
Can I want to.
One team gets momentum, Nico. This division could come down to week 18.
See, these are the conversations that I don't like having because a lot of people like I've been watching on the radio, I listen on the radio, watching on TV. People, and I brought it up to you this morning. Like the first sentence I told you is like people are gonna blow this out of proportion.
I'm just telling you the records.
I hear the records, but I think this is a circumstance where a team is playing at their peak best, and the offense, which is poor on the Jet side, was playing at their peak best, I believe. And on the other side of the ball, the Bills were playing at their worst. This is a Super Bowl juggernaut team.
Yeah.
They
Definitely.
most likely will be in the Super Bowl. They were playing their worst form of football, and even Josh Allen said it. And now that he's hurt or potentially
we got to
hurt
keep an eye on that.
with a UCL injury,
UCL or a tendon, they don't know yet. He's going to go some tests this week.
I mean, that is worst case scenario. They were playing their worst football while the Jets are playing their best. I don't want to hear anyone saying that the Jets are this new franchise. Yes, they're getting better, correct. They have skill, and they have a lot more skill than some other teams out there rebuilding. But Zach Wilson cannot lead this team into anything substantive. He's not a good quarterback, no matter how many times I see it.
Yeah, the stat line doesn't jump out for Zach Wilson. I give the credit to the Jets defense. I think they're really building something special on defense, Nico. But like I said, I'm not jumping to any conclusions. I didn't say the Jets are going to win the division. I'm just letting you know that this is 2 games separate first place from last place. And that's pretty crazy. I don't think a lot of people expected that. You know what I mean?
I mean, I just...
Any good comments out there?
I mean, it's just a bunch of talk about what we're talking about now, bringing up the Josh Allen 2 interceptions and just a bunch of like I said, defense is the real deal. And I just think, PI. I mean, people are agreeing that
I don't know about the PI.
I think, a lot of offensive pass interferences, they don't get called on, which I agree, but sure. I just think that I would chalk it up to more. Would you chalk it up to more of a fluke game, or would you say that the Jets are here?
Here's what I'll say. I mean, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but like watching the game, watching the highlights again a couple more times today, breaking it down, it looks like the Jets came into this game and said, we have to have the best defensive performance of our season, the best game plan, ready for everything that Josh Allen can throw at us, and they were prepared for it. So that like Josh Allen and the Bills, maybe they kind of slept on.
You're not answering my question.
No, I think the Bills are still the better team.
I'm not saying who's the better team. Are the Jets here to stay like this, or are they not?
We'll see.
I think I'm going to go, and I'm ready to say this, and you know me that I'm big mouth and I like to make these. I think that's the best we're going to see from the Jets. That's the best we're going to see from Zach Wilson, even though he didn't play that good. I see them possibly making the playoffs, but no push.
Okay.
No push.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not quite yet, but if they keep building this thing on defense, figure something out.
My brother just said that the Jets are winning the division.
That would be insane.
Impossible.
Insane. We got to move on.
Insane or impossible?
Insane, not impossible. They're still in it based on their record.
All right. You want to go first or me?
Yeah. So quickly through fantasy player of the week. We just did one each this week. Nico was pretty upset about his fantasy team's performance, and I was as well.
I mean, I lost.
I would have won every other game in the league. and I'm playing against Joe Mixon, has the game of his life. Joe Mixon, 153 rushing yards, 5 total touchdowns, 58. Why not just throw 58 receiving yards in there as well? The guy had 55 PPR points. There's just nothing you could do against that. The guy had a game of his life. No Jamar Chase. The Bengals ran all over the Panthers.
They ran just. I mean, and it just it happened to be
the Panthers defense had
you played him
-6.
too, correct?
Yeah.
You played him too.
I played against.
So we
Joe
both
Mixon.
played against Joe Mixon, and
it
we
was
both
tough,
got,
brother. That was really
down.
tough. But kudos to Joe Mixon. I mean,
what
he's still showing like he is that.
I think
he
is
that
guy.
Guy.
It was 4 total touchdowns in the first half.
Something like that. Yeah,
it was crazy.
He ended with 5 total.
Yeah, he ended with 5. He had a touchdown in the second half. He had
just
4 total touchdowns in the first half.
He looked unstoppable.
I think 3
what is
rushing,
that? That's the
1
best
receiving.
fantasy performance this year, right? By any player. 55.
I believe
Lamar had a 40 bomb, but
the first all time fantasy.
No, this year of any player this season. I don't think anyone's hit 50 yet.
I think there was someone who hit 55.
Justin Jefferson might have got 50.
He might have got 50, but I don't think 55. I don't think that's
55.
Been
Joe Mixon had the game of his life. Good for him. Good for the Bengals getting back on track. But
yeah,
it stinks when you're playing against him. That's all I'll say.
It did. It really did
tough.
stink. Obviously, everyone knew who's watched that I was 7-0, and now I'm 7-2.
When he got his second touchdown, the kid I was playing against texted me and said, Joe Mixon scoring touchdowns. And I was like, okay, he's got 2. Like, that's solid. It's the first quarter. Okay, all right. Oh, my goodness. Scoring touchdowns is an understatement.
So
he had 5.
The most ever fantasy points was Jamal Charles, 58.
So he was really close
to
getting
it. Very
it.
close, yeah.
Another touchdown.
When you have 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's very obtainable to get that. But anyways, we'll move on. My fantasy player of the week is, I'm not going to blow anything up because I know people's opinions on this team. The quarterback for the Bears is Justin Fields. Okay. They've had a rough season. They've had terrible offensive movement. Their defense is, they're just iffy. But for some reason in the past 3 weeks, they've kind of moved the ball with him. Like moved it. They've made a game plan where they're just going to run the ball, a lot of play action, a lot of, option plays. And it's really showing. He went 17 for 28, 123 yards, and 3 touchdowns thrown. But that's not that's not the crazy part about it. 123 yards isn't that great. He had 15 carries for 178 yards.
Yeah, he went off.
He ran more than he threw.
He went off.
He also had a touchdown on the ground. He had 45 points. Last week he had, I think, 27. The week before that, I think he had 23. So it's a continuous uptick.
You're starting to see how creative these offensive coordinators can get, where it's like, I don't need my quarterback to throw the ball 40 times.
Well, the Ravens do it.
Like, if you can get creative, this game becomes more and more positionless, and it's playing your best players to their strengths. As a coach, and like the rest of the team, receivers, will they block? Maybe, you bring a guy in who's, I'm here to catch the ball with a big ego. But
I also want to point out that Justin Fields is rostered in 45% of the leagues.
He went off.
In the past 3 weeks, he's averaged 33 points.
That's crazy. Good for him. A lot of people are starting to doubt
I have a question, John.
What's up?
What team is Justin Fields on tomorrow morning?
Chicago Bears.
No, what fantasy team is he on tomorrow morning?
He's on your team?
100,000%.
He might be rostered in my league because my league's pretty
Joe
deep.
Burrow's on a bye week, 100,000%.
I got Davis Mills as my backup, dude. Things are just
pick up Daniel Jones. We're playing Houston next week.
I think he's on a roster, dude. My league is deep, dude. It's
what about
so many
Marcus
people.
Mariota?
He might be available.
He's 100% available.
He might not be, dude. This league is insane. I don't know.
Anyways,
but yeah, Justin Fields, Joe Mixon, have a day.
Yeah, have a day, both you guys. Good job, Joe Mixon, almost most points all time. But 55. I want to talk. This is, I think we're both really excited for this part.
Yeah, I was excited.
This is the first time we're ever doing this. Obviously, this is week
9.
I know, like, what week of the show? Like week 6.
Yeah, week 6 maybe.
I would say week 6 of the show. We come out with mid-season awards. Halfway through the season awards, we're gonna give each of us one award to one player based on the category and based on what we feel like.
And we'll give you like a little breakdown, quick argument. But I'm excited to see the comments about these. Some of them are definitely debatable. Some of them, I'm just gonna be like, if you disagree with me on this one,
You're
you just
wrong.
don't watch football.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah, you're
But
just
that's just how I
completely
feel.
wrong.
I don't know. It's gonna be a fun segment. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
I know, like ESPN's been dropping theirs and whatever.
Well, because
It's always like an exciting thing
yeah.
to see, and
we're getting to that point of the season where it's just like fun to realize.
and with like
what
sports betting
happened.
legal now, if you're over 21, like these are like live odds you can look at and stuff and whatever. So I think people will be excited to see these. And
Can I just point out something to you? Max is a very, very loyal listener to the show, but he just said something absurd.
Oh goodness.
I hope it was a joke.
What do you say?
He says, but he prefaced it. He said, no joke. The best quarterback available is Baker Mayfield.
In our league, I believe that, dude. I'm telling you, there's 16 teams and everyone takes it serious.
You're
Because
gonna
the loser, you know what
gonna
happens if
tell
you get
me
last place in our league, Nico?
What?
You got to go watch the Super Bowl in McCluskey, North Dakota. We've decided
You're
that.
telling me you have to fly to McCluskey, North
So
Dakota.
we decided whoever gets last place this year has to go watch the Super Bowl in a city of the winner's choice. So we don't know who the winner is yet, but we're listing off a bunch of cities as a joke. And my one friend Aaron found this city. It's like the geographical center of North Dakota. There are 330 people that live there. And if you go on the town's website, it's like, welcome to McCluskey. We have a town pool and 2 parks. And you got to go to McCluskey, watch the Super Bowl, and then you're allowed to come home. And I think we threw in a little bit of extra money to like help pay for the flight there. But because you got last place and you stink, you're flying your way home. But yeah, you got to pretty much go to McCluskey.
You guys are evil.
Yep. Yeah, it's terrible.
And
Max is in last place right now, by the way. Max is in last place.
And you tell me Baker Mayfield's the only available quarterback?
I'll pull it up right now. I mean, I want to get into the segment, but dude, I'm telling you, this league is so deep and everyone takes it serious.
Let me get to the first segment, and I'm really excited to do it while John tries
McCluskey,
to figure out.
North Dakota, I'm telling you. All right. So we started it off halfway awards. Like I said, some of these are real awards that are voted on by the Associated Press, and some of them we kind of just made up, threw in there for fun.
Yeah.
First one is I don't think this is a real NFL award. Most improved player.
I think they only have comeback player.
Comeback player. So yeah, most improved is just in our opinion. We made up this award.
Yeah.
My most improved player of the year, Jalen Hurts. He went into the season as like, could he be the guy in Philly? I definitely was not sold on him from what I've seen. I'm sold on Jalen Hurts. He is that guy passing, running. He looks like a legit MVP candidate. He's got over 2,000 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's boasting a 107.8 quarterback rating. That's 20.6 better than last year. Also, add to that, why not throw in there 300 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. My man has 18 total touchdowns, and they're undefeated. I mean, what else? What else do you want from the guy?
There's no kid. There's no shock. I mean, he's playing out of his mind, and obviously
out of his
no shock
mind.
He should be on this list.
They surrounded him with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and
AJ Brown is his red zone target. I mean, every time it's in the red zone, chuck it up to AJ Brown. He could have 2 guys on him. And he'll drop both of them. And
we knew he was a fantasy threat, but in terms of winning games, I don't know if anyone saw this coming. He is just that guy. There is no question. Jalen Hurts.
The only problem I have with him is their team. Because, like, yes, they're undefeated, but also they've played, like, kind of terrible teams.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And there's no doubt, like, this, you can't really argue that.
I know, we broke down the schedule before, and I think we agreed
rough.
On, like, 3 quality wins out of the 8. Were the 8-0 or 9-0?
There's 3 quality wins out of that, and they weren't really that quality. It was like Dallas with Cooper Rush. Like
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I mean, it leaves something to be desired, but you can't argue with the fact they're undefeated. And Jalen Hurts is playing
100%,
out of his mind.
100%.
Playing out of his mind.
But I think this one,
I know he's not.
I know he's not young, but I don't care. The most improved player is Geno Smith.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's tough to argue with that.
What did I write here? I think I messed up one of the writings.
That's okay.
I believe he has.
I'll pull it up for you. You go on.
I think he has 1,900. I think he has 1,900 throwing yards as of the moment. 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Oh, he's at 2,199.
Thank you. 2,000. I wrote 3,000. 2,199 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and the best season that he's had in his career was 3,000 throwing yards in 16 games played in his rookie year. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're working with a 17 game schedule at this point. So that's one more game he has. And he now is in the league. He's
Yeah.
top 10 in yards thrown, touchdowns, interceptions, and QBR.
Good
So
for
not
Geno
only
Smith.
has he taken a team that was projected to go 0-17
Seriously, yeah, people were saying they're
2
gonna
and
tank.
15 or whatever they were saying that this team has no shot at even, they were in the sweepstakes for the number 1 draft pick.
Exactly. Remember the start of the season? It was a quarterback battle between Drew Lock and Geno Smith.
Yeah, the fact
And I
that
was like, either way you go, it's
either way you go, it didn't work out. The fact that they put Drew Lock in and he's completely shattered all the haters, like completely.
yeah, Geno has just been eating. He looks like you would never guess that this guy was like fighting for a job. Like,
I mean, and I don't know how we looked over it, but I guess like everyone kind of.
I like what he said. I like what he said, Nico. They wrote me off.
Yeah,
I am right back.
I am right back.
Geno Smith.
Am right back.
And it's tough, like, because as Giants fans, like, he had a pretty terrible stint with the Giants. He ended Eli's record for most consecutive games started. So Giants fans were like kind of hating on him.
And even with the Jets, he was terrible. I mean,
but man, he really found his groove in Seattle. Him and Pete Carroll, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf.
They
look good, man. They look good.
It's just the format and the play calling and the the weapons he has specifically. Like he does have great weapons. He does have Tyler Lockett. He does have DK Metcalf.
Kenneth Walker's coming out as a really good rookie.
Kenneth Walker is probably the rookie of the year.
Probably. we have that coming up.
Yeah, we'll talk about
that.
But
no, good for Geno Smith. Valid argument to be made there for most improved player.
Yeah, I definitely think that if this was an award, he would win it. And I want to move on to complete treason that you put on this page in front of me. Please.
So this is a tough category. Coach of the year. Coach of the year so far, I think there's 4 guys that you could put in here. There's really not a single runaway, in my opinion. I mean, I think a lot of people would say Nick Sirianni of the Eagles just because they're undefeated. But then we go back to the argument we said before, like, I think Nick Sirianni has the most talented roster to work with. You know what I mean? Out of those players. So for my pick of the year, my pick through
for like 2 minutes.
My pick for coach of the year halfway through the season, Kevin O'Connell. The Vikings have a 7-1 record, huge lead in the NFC North. I don't think anyone's going to catch him. It's just his first year as head coach, and this team is competing for a number 1 seed in the NFC. In the years past for the Vikings, it was always like, the defense is great, but the offense is lackluster, or vice versa. This year, the offense and defense are on the same page. They're operating on insanely high levels. They haven't lost a divisional game yet. Their only loss came to the Eagles. I mean, the offense looks legit. Justin Jefferson is competing for an offensive player of the year. Kirk Cousins looks good for every 1:00 game. And the defense is Darius Smith. Some really good pieces there. Kevin O'Connell put this team together, really meshed them together well. And he's my pick for coach of the year with a 7-1 record so far.
Can I read something to
you? In his first year.
Can I read something in his first year? Sure. Can I read something to you?
Go for it.
I disregard everything about the Vikings. I want your opinion on these teams in 12 seconds. Packers.
My opinion? What do you mean?
Just what do you think they are? Good or bad? Packers.
Bad.
Eagles.
Good.
Lions.
Bad.
Saints.
Mid.
Bears.
Bad.
Dolphins.
Good.
Cardinals.
Mid.
Commanders.
Bad.
Both the teams you said were good were the only 2 teams they lost to.
But they have 1 loss.
Not the.
They lost to the Eagles.
Not the Eagles.
They beat the Dolphins.
They beat the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They beat one good team, the Dolphins. Every other team you said were mid or bad, they beat. Duh.
He's my pick, dude. He's my pick, dude. I have a lot of respect for a first-year coach coming in and doing those things. Again, he has a talented roster to work with.
No, there's no doubt about it. I agree he's one of them. But like I like bringing that up because I like I said before when we were looking at the schedule, I like looking what their opponent's on. And I know some people say like you have to beat what's in front of you. And
exactly, yeah, they didn't pick that schedle.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just going out and winning games.
When you're looking at strength of a person and strength of a team, I want to look at who they have faced. And if they lost to Eagles, the only good team on their list, I think they beat the Dolphins with their backup. The Dolphins had the backup. Does that count?
Yeah, but doesn't that look like they're taking care of business? Every team That
Yeah,
the
sure,
only good
absolutely.
team the only really, really solid team that they've played then is the Eagles, and that's their only loss, then they're taking care of business. Then they're
Absolutely, and I really
Was
hope
that a
I want
close
to
game or did
see.
they get blown out by the Eagles?
Yeah, they got blown out.
Ah, shoot.
I want to see what's going on in the next 3 weeks.
Okay. Who
They
do
they
they have
play
coming up?
Bills, Cowboys, Patriots. I just want
No,
to
that's
see.
a good stretch. That's a
That's a
good
good
stretch.
stretch. I want to see what they do, and I'll move on to mine.
Okay. Yeah, let me hear it.
To nobody's, and I mean nobody's. Is anyone going to be surprised about this?
No.
Yeah, no one's going to be surprised. The coach of the year is Brian Dable. No doubt about it. Brian Dable, first year as Giants head coach. He's 6-2, tied for second in the NFC East. He has the best start for the Giants in nearly 12 years. Daniel Jones was 12-26 without Brian Dable. Now
He's got half those wins
he's
right
got
there.
half
He's got
those
half
wins
of them.
already. 6-2.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Team stats aren't great, but this is where, like, I'm not saying the defense or the offense are ranked in some sort of way, like top 10 offenses, top 10 defenses. I'm not saying that. They're not great output.
Yeah.
But what a coach does is he'll put the plays, he'll use the roster that he has and make plays out of it that'll work.
Yeah.
And change. Like, the whole thing about about in New York was that they've had a rough time with coaches and they've had a rough time with GMs. So, like, it's about changing the structure about these players who have already been here. And that's exactly what he's done. He's changed the culture.
And what I like about watching Brian Dable as a coach is the close games, they pull it out. So that's
Absolutely.
and a
It's
lot
games
of
that
that is
you-
coaching too. So there was a big thing to start this year. He was calling the plays in Buffalo, and all the Giants fans thought, oh, yes, he's going to be calling the plays in New York. He opted not to call the plays. He said he wanted to focus more on the situational football and let Mike Kafka, we got him from the Chiefs, handle the play-by-play calling. So for Brian Dable in those close games, fourth quarters, in years past where the Giants watched it slip away, and as Giants fans, we watched so many games slip away. Now they're winning those one-score games. It feels awesome, and a lot of credit to him.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not going to give him all the credit, obviously, but, and I'll give credit to the, Joe Shane, the GM, bringing in those players who can support this brand new head coach, like Wink Martindale, like Mike Kafka, these are offensive, defensive coordinators who really support him, and they're putting out a great performance on the field. They're winning games with a roster that's lackluster it's okay at best.
So I'm a little off topic. I was listening to what you're saying, but I was just interested to see this. So for the NFL Coach of the Year odds, Vegas has 7 coaches that all still have a shot. Like, they're all within 2,000 plus 2,000. Nick Sirianni's the favorite. Brian Dable's right behind him. Robert Saleh, Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins is top 5. Then you got Sean McDermott and Pete Carroll. All still have a shot to win it. So that is that's gonna be a really close race, I think.
I think
one of those guys I could see winning it.
Someone saying that Giants schedule is also bad, but I wouldn't say the schedule is not.
The Titans win was a good win. They're a good team.
The Titans win. The Panthers are bad. The Packers, we didn't know were bad at that point. They were still the Packers.
Who are our
at
losses?
that point.
The Cowboys with Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
And Geno Smith.
In
which Seattle.
They were both hot quarterbacks, and they also beat the Bears. They're bad, but I'm talking about like the Ravens. Like, the Ravens are still a good team.
Yeah, that's a good team. That's a good win. That's a quality win.
There's some quality wins in there that you can add. You can add the Titans win. You can add the Ravens win. It still counts as something in my eyes.
I understand your perspective of going at it by judging win by win, but I lean more towards I just look at overall record, because in the NFL, you're not going to match up with a great team every week. And can you take care of business? Can you get it done?
And I feel like
every team is really good, though. At the same time, we're saying bad. Dude, these are the most talented players in the world. The highest paid players. The coaches are going to game plan the whole week.
If you're going to compare the Vikings schedule and the Giants schedule, you have to compare situations as well.
Okay.
Because what the Vikings have been good for years. You know what I mean?
They've been mediocre.
Yeah, they've been mediocre for years. But I'm saying they have a roster. They had Adam Thielen, they have Justin Jefferson, they have Kirk Cousins, they have Dalvin Cook.
But I just respect Kevin O'Connell for coming in his first year and just taking him to the next level.
Yeah, I I agree. They have been playing good, but
they
I feel
saw
like
an opportunity where the Packers were slacking, and they said, "Let's grab this division lead. Let's run away with it."
I feel like that he has. I don't want to downgrade him because of the weapons he has, but he's came into a system that has worked in the past.
Yeah.
And in Brian Dable, he's come into a system that's
Yeah, that
failed
was terrible. Yeah.
heavily in the past. For
Yeah.
the past
Okay.
6 years,
No, fair enough.
heavily.
I'm not saying either option's wrong. We'll see
I
how it
agree.
plays out.
I think it could go either way. I obviously think that the Eagles coach can win it as well. It could go either way, but obviously, as a Giant fan, I'm going to stick to
Fair
what I
enough.
love.
All right, you want to get us I'll do mine first. Offensive player of the year. So sometimes I think they do give it to a quarterback, but usually not.
Yeah, we both kind of agreed to steer away from.
Yeah, just because quarterback I feel like is the MVP award.
Yeah.
So for my offensive player of the year, I have Tyreek Hill. He leads the NFL in receptions and receiving yards. He's got 76 catches for 1,104 yards. So I mean, imagine those numbers doubled if he keeps that up for the rest of the season. That's 150 catches, 2,200 yards. That's cracked. I mean, those are insane numbers. He's 237 more yards than the next closest receiver. He's only had 3 touchdowns. Not great, but I mean, like teams key on him a lot in the red zone.
I feel
Jalen
like
Waddle's been eating up a lot of those touchdowns. But he's been an unstoppable force. He gets the ball down the field, puts the Dolphins in positions to win games. If you dive a little bit deeper into his stats, he's got the most receiving first downs of any receiver in the NFL and the most catches of 20-plus yards with 19 catches of 20-plus yards. That's just a guy, get him the ball. He's going to get you downfield, put you in position to score points. He's just an offensive weapon. And I mean,
obviously, I agree.
He's proven why he got that contract to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL.
I think that I agree. I think he is him and Stephon Diggs are 1 and 2.
Cooper Kupp's been a little down this year, but I mean, what we saw from Cooper Kupp last year
obviously
was
they're all in that pool.
Upper echelon.
Yeah, they're all like Tyreek Hill is literally like,
but he's playing
insane. He's super fast. His hands are great. You can use him in different scenarios.
Yeah.
The only problem I have is I don't think he could be offensive player of the year just because of the
low touchdowns.
The low touchdown count.
I know that's tough. That's tough.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's
I
like one of the
100%.
biggest statistics that people look for. I do like his numbers though. First in catches, first in yards, most 20-yard catches, and most first downs.
Yeah.
That is an offensive player. That is a guy who is
fantastic.
Just killing defenses. There's no way to stop him.
Yeah, that one stat.
You can only hope to slow him down.
I feel like that one stat will like linger over him.
Yeah, that's tough.
If he doesn't get those numbers up, like you have to be someone who can. I feel like to like the average viewer, you have to be someone who can, get those touchdowns, be excited. Like he's obviously such an exciting player, and he was on the Chiefs. And if he could get a little bit more touchdowns, he can. He's already there.
Yeah, we'll see how the rest of the season
goes. But if he could get touchdowns,
all he needs is like 1 or 2 games to just get a couple red zone targets, 2-3 touchdown game. Yeah.
See, okay, so it's funny you brought that up, Max, because John brought up to me before when we were prepping for the show about like my player who's like offensive player of the year. He brought up Eckler.
Yeah, Eckler's been having a great year.
My problem with Eckler, and I think you kind of like agreed on it to some sort, but you also like believe in it as well, is I think his rushing yards are really low right now, like almost half of what the number 1 rusher is, which I'll get onto them.
What is he? He was at 25th in rushing yards, right?
He was like 24th in rushing.
Yeah, see, it's hard for me to put someone offensive player of the year when you're I mean, even though he does both, he runs and catches.
The receiving is
he's a running back.
Yeah. The receiving is definitely
outside the top 20 in running back yards. It's tough. I mean, one stat though that Austin Eckler's crushing is yards after catch. He leads the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's dope. That's awesome. That's a great stat. But I mean, in terms of just offensive weaponry, like Tyreek Hill, you get him the ball, he's going to directly contribute to winning games in just sheer yardage. He's going to move the ball down there, get you a field goal, put the Dolphins in position to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I feel like with the Eckler thing, like it's just like the receiving yards are great. No kidding. Like I don't know his exact stat on receiving yards, and I know there are a lot, but his rushing yards aren't good at all. I don't see him as a
that's the
candidate
thing. Like
for
that's
it,
the thing. When Saquon won Offensive Rookie of the Year and when Le'Veon Bell won Offensive Player of the Year, as they were both kind of like this Austin Eckler running it and catching it, they were both top 10 in rushing yards as well.
Yeah,
so that's why I kind of strayed away from Eckler. Like, you're great, you're doing amazing, but I've seen guys in years past do it better.
Yeah, like when you see like I understand like Kareem Hunt is like this like really good receiving back, but you're not going to put him in. He's kind of like multi-dynamic. But
like Alvin Kamara is another guy who does that too.
I think that you have to have those rushing numbers.
But I think Saquon has more scrimmage yards, right, than Eckler.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like, why do
Saquon's third.
What does Eckler bring to the table to give me to like offensive player
No,
of the year, the best offensive player in the league.
yeah,
I
but
just, I
and
don't
this
not
is where
seeing
I
it.
kind of get like it might throw some people off where I get into mine,
Okay.
but I really think that like if this keeps going and this upward trend keeps going, it could be like unstoppable. And obviously, everyone knows him. It's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry he started off the season with 3 very subpar, like 100 yard games, and the Titans were struggling, and it wasn't great. But since then, he's had every single game has been above 100 yards rushing, including a 250-yard game. He has 183 rushing attempts, 807 yards, which leads the league. He has 9 touchdowns, which is second in the league behind only Nick Chubb, and 4.8 yards a carry, which I believe leads the league. I just think that he has, so what does he have? 870 yards. I believe that I think I was reading that so right here. He's on pace to have his second best rushing if he keeps this trend. So halfway through the season, he had about I think it was 2,000 rushing yards in his best season.
Yeah, he did get
And
2K.
his second
yeah.
best season was around 1,500 or 1,600. If he continues in this thing, or if he excels,
Yeah.
he could crush his. He
And
could
he's
have
just
phenomenal
continuing to
rushing
trend
season.
up. 2 scores
Absolutely.
last night in the primetime game, 2 scores a week ago.
I mean, he's back to what he used to be.
Yeah.
He is an unstoppable force.
He's so good. He's so big, so fast. It's tough to argue with that one. Just this guy is just so consistent. And when you play the Titans, you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna hand it off to Derrick Henry, and yet teams struggle so much to stop him. He is so good. It's hard to argue with that one, Nico, because he is just like, again, rushing yards, touchdowns, offensive stats that really matter, and he's crushing it. So that's a good pick, Nico. It's tough to argue because
I just think that if it's a hypothetical, obviously, but if he keeps trending upwards, there's no chance that anyone's going to stop him. And I think he'll finish the league 100% with
the most yards, the most
yards,
scores,
and
touching.
maybe the most touchdowns.
Yeah. That could be, dude. He could win it again. He could win it again. All right. That was offensive player of the year. Let's do defensive player of the year. Oh, we agreed on this one.
Yeah, this is the only.
Listen to that, folks. Me and Nico.
Yeah, this is the only one we agreed on because
something for the show.
I think that it's like
crazy.
I think it's kind of crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Stats. This is the first time
because he's quiet. He's a quiet superstar.
You could do it because I agreed with you, and I'll give that to you that you came up with.
Okay, my pick for defensive player of the year, I got Matthew Judon. He leads the NFL in sacks with 11.5. He's got 20 solo tackles, and he has a forced fumble. He's 4th in the NFL in tackles for loss with 10. So a lot of sites, I was looking at the stats right now, a lot of sites have Micah Parsons as the favorite, but the only thing that Micah Parsons has that's better than Judon is he's got 6 more solo tackles and 1 more forced fumble. But Matthew Judon has more sacks and more tackles for loss. And he's on pace, Nico, for 22 sacks. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's an all-pro season.
Yeah, 100%.
He's quiet. Like, you don't hear this guy Matthew Judon a lot on the Patriots. You don't hear a lot about him. He's not this superstar crazy edge rusher that like the Von Millers, the Micah Parsons, the Myles Garretts, but he is quietly having a great season. Very hard to block. He's my pick right now. If he keeps this up, I think he should win it.
And I can't say anything about it. Like, we were kind of dabbling with the idea of like Micah Parsons and someone like that, but there are some stats in there in the repertoire that like doesn't like really work out for, in regards to like Judon. Like, he's kind of dominated.
Yeah, he's just been dominant. Yeah,
he really has been dominant, and you can't really do anything about it. Like, the stats say it for himself. I was trying to like nitpick at some stuff and try to get another player to do, but he
really is. You look at the numbers. He's not the biggest name, but he's been the best defensive player this year. I think so.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, next we have I threw these in kind of last minute because I realized we forgot them. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think up until he got hurt, it was Breece Hall. Now he's down for the year. I think it's Kenneth Walker.
I think at this point in the season, without a doubt, Kenneth Walker is a powerhouse that no one can stop. Like,
no quarterbacks really this year. I mean, Malik Willis played his heart out last night, but
yeah, he played a good game, but I mean,
just not enough sample size really to give him my vote.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Kenneth Walker at this point, the Seahawks are moving in like such a hot direction that he's got
2 scores.
Yeah, and the way
previous
he
games
runs is like, it's skillful, yeah, but he's so powerful in the way
Yep.
he runs. Like he'll break a tackle, he'll push towards the crowd,
And he's
and
quick too.
and
He's
he'll keep moving.
underratedly like really fast.
So watching
that,
him
like,
play, especially
70-yard
like when he
run,
played
yeah.
against the Giants last week, like
Yeah.
he moves.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Like you have to like take that into account because you're not gonna be able to stop
It's
him.
hard
if
to
you
do as a
don't.
rookie too, man. He's come in and just brought a new life to that Seahawks run game. So we both agree on defensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year, what about this one? Are we on the same page?
Okay. I want to nitpick it. You can't.
Sauce
can't.
Gardner.
Yeah, you can't.
It's Sauce.
Yeah, it's Sauce Gardner. I mean, he, like we just talked about before, we don't have to like dig into it because we did already before, but he locked up Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, only allowed him to get 5 catches. I mean, we talked about this before we touched on it. He leads the league in passes defended with 15. So I think a pass defended counts as like a tip ball or like a pass breakup, right? They group those together. So with 15 of those, he's been saying he's got 2 interceptions on the year, 44 tackles.
I mean,
he's been everything he was advertised to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's obviously going to be. I think he's going to win it if it keeps going in this.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only halfway through the season, but
he's a fun player to watch, man.
Very
he's
fun.
Really
I mean,
exciting.
he's really revitalized that defense and everything that's happening.
And I thought Derek Stingley would be the better cornerback of him and Sauce. They went back-to-back in draft picks.
Yeah.
And I thought Derek Stingley at LSU, he played in the SEC. Meanwhile, Sauce Gardner was from Cincinnati. Yes, they were really good. They didn't lose a lot of games, and he had insane numbers. But I was like, when you're at LSU DB, you are playing the best wide receivers and the best quarterbacks in the country every single week. And so I thought it would be Derek Stingley, but Sauce Gardner has been everything that he was advertised to be. He's been insane.
I'm looking right now at these 2022 odds of the defensive rookie of the year, and Sauce Gardner is obviously at plus 150. He's the favorite. He's the favorite. 100%.
Is there anyone close to even to him?
The only person really close is Tariq Woolen, the cornerback for the Seahawks. And
okay. He's been having a good year.
He's at like plus.
What about Devin Lloyd on the Jaguars? He's been having a good year too.
He's I would say he's fifth. Sixth out here, plus 1,200.
Okay,
but I'm looking at Tariq Woolen's stats, and it's not even close.
Yeah,
to Sauce, it really isn't. I mean, he has 25 tackles.
What did we say? Sauce was at 40.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
He has 25 tackles. How many? He is tied for second in interceptions, and he also has like passes blocked. I think he has 8.
Okay.
It's a really good like in that. If you look at the stat line, it's like 24 tackles, 4 interceptions, 8 pass blocks.
Wait, Tariq Woolen has 4 interceptions?
Yeah.
Oh, so that is more than Sauce.
Is it? He has 3?
2.
2, really?
2.
Who's leading the league right now in interceptions?
I'm not sure. It hasn't been a crazy year for interceptions, I don't think. Like we've seen some years in the past, Xavier Howard go for like 10 or 11. Or last year we had what's his name? On the Cowboys, Nico.
Yeah.
Trayvon Diggs go for a lot, like the most.
Okay, so right now we have the leaders in interceptions is CJ Gardner-Johnson of the Eagles.
Okay.
Then Harrison Smith, which is, veteran right there. Jordan Poyer of Buffalo, Von Bell of Cincinnati, Eddie Jackson of Chicago.
And what's the most?
5. CJ.
Okay, so it's still really anyone's. It's still anyone's.
It's anyone's to grab up, but I didn't actually know that he had more interceptions than him. It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, CJ Gardner-Johnson. There's a lot of guys from Philly on this list. You got CJ with 5.
Their defense is
Bradbury with 3. And Darius Slay with 3. So yeah, their defense that's tough, man. That is scary.
I think we're gonna have to if we're gonna have.
We're running out of time.
If we're gonna get to Monday night,
we'll run that through that one quick. Okay.
All right, we'll run through Monday night. We'll get into these next ones. Let's go to what's your most surprising team, like in a good way?
Team that has pleasantly surprised me the most is the Seattle Seahawks. I know you talked about Geno, but overall, just as a whole unit, like you said, they were post-Russ era. They're going to stink. It's going to be Pete Carroll's on the way out. They're going to get a high draft pick. They're looking like they could very well win that FC West. Everyone was writing them off. Geno Smith didn't write back. So the Seahawks have been
all week.
The Seahawks have been the most surprising team to me in a good way.
Yeah, and obviously, like I think you guys all know what I'm going to say. It's the Giants.
Fair enough. No, that's great.
This could be interchangeable. It could be the Jets. It could be the Giants. They're both like,
yeah.
And I'm really glad for New York as a whole. Like they're really both like exceeding or like smashing their expectations of the season. Like they're like, oh, they're 4-win teams. They're 3-win teams. Maybe they'll win 5 wins. They both have 6 wins.
Yeah.
One
You could,
6
I
and
think you
3,
could,
one
you
6
could
and
throw the
2.
Jets in there too. They've been very pleasantly surprising.
And they
You could
both
even
have
say
like
the Eagles. I mean,
yeah,
undefeated.
yeah, I guess. You know me, I'm not sold on them, but I'm talking like Jets and Giants, like key players, like even the Giants. You want to talk about like talent and skill, like maybe not on the offensive side, but they do have Saquon and
Yeah,
Daniel Jones. But on the defensive side, like you have players like Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, like Kayvon Thibodeau, Xavier McKinney, who did get hurt
yeah,
in
that
the bye
stinks.
week,
I
which I
saw that.
heard. He had an ATV
Out for a
accident and
couple
broke his
weeks.
hand.
That stinks, dude. The bye week, you got to be careful, man.
Yeah,
Got to
on the
rest
bye
up.
week, I mean, we're trying to build something over here. I really I don't want to put anything on Xavier McKinney, but could be a little more careful. You're
Yeah,
ATVing
seriously.
in your bye week and you break your hand, you're out for a couple weeks.
Yeah, that stinks. All right.
It was just a beat up. But I'm saying like these teams, they're building towards something, and I'm very excited to see what they have. Maybe not this season. Maybe they won't. They're probably not going to get there. But for both these teams, what in the future, the next couple seasons.
Who's been the most disappointing team?
It's kind of funny that we both wrote this down. It was literally yesterday's game.
Yeah,
It's
it was both
I have
teams. We picked
Bucks, you
both
have
teams from
Rams.
yesterday's games.
Like we talked about it. We don't have to go that in depth, but these are the
Rams have been
yeah,
terrible.
Yeah.
3-5 record. Odell will not save them. Like it doesn't like they can sign Odell.
No, yeah,
I just don't think they turn this one around.
Maybe it adds a little bit of like wide receiver help, but I just don't see it.
I don't see it.
I
And
think
you said the Bucks.
I think people have figured out Sean McVay.
The Bucks have been disappointing, but they're still in it. I don't know.
Saddest teams: Vegas, Broncos, Colts,
Vegas has
and
been
Packers.
sad. Yeah, you could put Vegas or the Broncos in there.
I mean,
The
Vegas,
Packers. There's another one we argued we were going to put in there.
Vegas, Broncos, Colts, Packers. I mean, those are all like huge things. We could talk about all of them. Vegas, obviously, with Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, like Derek Carr, crazy amount of skill that just can't do anything. It's like kind of confusing. Broncos have been bad all season with Russell Wilson. Colts, Jonathan Taylor has been hurt. Their offense has been lackluster. They get nothing done. And I feel like they have to go with their younger quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And the Packers, who have just been like, you can kind of, maybe it's not as surprising as other teams just because they lost Devontae Adams and they don't
see. Here's what's surprising, but Aaron Rodgers was back-to-back MVP winner.
But now he doesn't have his key wide receiver. That's what
I know. But when you think of MVP, it's like, I don't know. I mean, how many years did Tom Brady just dominate with guys like Wes Welker, Edelman? Like these were undrafted guys that Tom Brady made look like absolute superstar studs.
I feel like that's the difference between these two. I don't think Aaron Rodgers could get it done. I mean,
it's been tough. He's trying.
I mean, their defense is terrible too.
Yeah.
At least the Patriots had great defenses.
But we're at the 5 o'clock hour. Monday Night Football is Ravens at Saints. Both teams are injury riddled. I got the Ravens winning this one. No Mark Andrews though. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It should be good.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Kamara finally came to life last week. He had 158 scrimmage yards and 3 total touchdowns. So I'm excited to see what he'll do. And I'm also excited. One more thing: Roquan Smith debut in purple. Let's see how he does, man.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Let's see how he does.
I mean,
he's gonna look good in purple.
That was a huge trade.
He's gonna look good in purple.
I'm sure it's gonna work out, but
no Mark Andrews.
I think the Ravens are going to be still a good team coming off. I think they win this game.
There was
easily.
Some crazy stat I saw, Nico. So the Ravens' last game was a Thursday night game. They've had 10 days because it's a Monday night game.
They're on rest.
John Harbaugh has been the most profitable coach to bet on with 10 days of rest or more.
Yeah, I mean,
that guy game plans insane.
We're running out of time, but
yeah, we gotta get out of here. Thanks for everyone who listened today.
Absolutely. Can you give me before we head out? Ravens win.
I got Ravens winning this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got the Ravens win this one.
What do you got scores?
28-20 Ravens.
15 million to 0.
15 million to 0. All right.
All right, guys.
Yeah, we'll
thank you all for watching.
Thanks for
another
watching.
week. Sorry for missing out last week, but we'll be back next week for everything you expect.
Yeah, everything we got. All right. Thank you guys. Take care. Have a good one.
See ya.